This is every single fight to make after UFC 281, Adesanya versus Pereira. I have all of the key fighters from that card on the screen right now. Some winners, some losers. And you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them. And that's where the next opponent's going to go, who I have hidden around the perimeter of the screen. I'll slowly reveal those opponents one by one as the video goes on and place them where they belong on the screen. Let's start straight away with the main event. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira finishes Israel Adesanya via 5th round TKO and chases him into another sport just to finish him again. Crazy storylines there. I said it would happen, by the way. Either way, Alex Pereira, dangerous man. Israel Adesanya has earned an immediate rematch. Let's just be real. Like, this is just one of the no-brainers. Like, people are going to say, like, even Dana White was kind of hesitant to even say that Israel Adesanya should get an immediate rematch. Dude, you gave Cody Garbrandt an immediate rematch. He didn't even have a title defense. Israel Adesanya had like 5. So we've got to give him an immediate rematch in the middleweight division. And also, who else is there right now in the middleweight division? You've got Robert Whittaker, who's fighting Paulo Costa in February. Sean Strickland, Jared Cannonier, the winner of that's going to be on a 1-fight win streak, and they've already lost. I mean, Strickland's lost to Pereira, Cannonier just lost to Israel Adesanya, so that doesn't make sense to do either. And Marvin Vettori's just being Marvin Vettori in the middle of the rankings somewhere, so what are we going to do? Let's do the rematch immediately. Not immediately. I see a lot of people saying, you know, rematch in Brazil. Chill. That's in 2 months' time, and Israel Adesanya just got really badly finished. Now, he didn't get flatline KO'd, so he's not going to need a massive amount of time off. However, let's focus more on a rematch to take place in, like, June, May, maybe even International Fight Week in July. Let's just take a little bit of time here, okay? We've got time right now. Alex Pereira just saved the middleweight division because we have a problem where there's no new contenders at the top of the rankings. Let's give ourselves about 7 months, 6 months maybe, to build up the rest of the division and then do this rematch. Because if Adesanya gets the belt back, we need new contenders for him afterwards. And if Pereira wins, we'd like to have some fresh contenders as well. So, Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya 2 in June, something like that. Moving on. Zhang Weili defeated Carla Esparza in the co-main event to become the strawweight world champion. It's not what I want, it's what they're going to do, I'm sorry, okay? It's just what they're going to do. They want big fights in the women's divisions if they can get them, and Rose Namajunas is a bigger name than Amanda Lemos. And they're going to do, in my opinion, while I'm talking about this, they're going to do Amanda Lemos versus Carla Esparza. Finish her, you know what I mean? Like, just get rid of her out of the sport, Carla. But either way, this is what they're going to do. Carla Esparza, Amanda Lemos, probably sometime soon. And then they're going to do Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas at the start of next year with no pay-per-view shares, as like somewhere on the card of like the Jones and Ngannou card, or maybe somewhere on the card of like a, I don't even know what they're going to do. I'm not sure. But they're going to do something along those lines. You know what I'm saying? And I reckon they're going to give Rose Namajunas an immediate title shot again. You know what I mean? She was a defending champion. You got to give it to her. And she also has two wins over Zhang Weili. And the narrative they'll try and pull is they'll say, Zhang Weili arguably won the second one, and let's do it for the third time. And that is a narrative they can go with for this trilogy. So it's not like a fight where one guy's won 2 of them and there's no way you could sell a third fight. This is more like an Adesanya Whittaker type trilogy, you know what I mean? A finish in the first one, a close fight in the second one that arguably the person who lost should have won, and then they can sell a third fight at some point. And this is the time to do it. So get rid of Carla Esparza from the top, give her Amanda Lemos. If Lemos wins, then that means she'll be getting a title shot at some point. And maybe even do it all on the same card. Maybe put Esparza versus Lemos as the headliner of the prelims, and then do Zhang Weili, Rose Namajunas for the title somewhere on the main card of a pay-per-view around April, March. They're going to do it. They're just going to do this. This is what they're going to do. I'm sorry if you don't like it. Like, this is just obviously what they're going to do. Moving on to another fight. Dustin Poirier defeated Michael Chandler via 3rd round rear naked choke. And I believe the next fight should be for Dustin Poirier. I don't know if it will be, but what it should be is Beneil Dariush, okay? That's what the next fight should be for Dustin Poirier. We should see Dustin Poirier versus Beneil Dariush on the main card of a pay-per-view sometime in April, maybe. That's what I'm feeling. I'm sensing April. Maybe it can be a fight night main event. That would be a great fight night main event. I don't know when ABC's having another fight night, but it would be great to have an ABC fight night main event with Dustin Poirier and Beneil Dariush for 5 rounds. We need it to be somewhere soon, because the winner of this one's getting a title shot. And they're doing Makhachev versus Volkanovski in February. And you know, based on times that we've seen before, October is the Abu Dhabi time. You know what I'm saying? We just went to Abu Dhabi in October. I believe Khabib versus someone was in October. I believe there was another fight that took place in October that was in Abu Dhabi or something like that. But they like to go to Abu Dhabi. They just like going to Abu Dhabi in October and maybe April. It depends. It looks like we're doing other stuff in April and March and February. So let's go to the Abu Dhabi card in October next year and time things accordingly. Makhachev, Volkanovski in February. Odds are that Makhachev's going to win that one. Then have Dustin Poirier, Beneil Dariush in March or April, ready to turn around in October to have a title fight in Abu Dhabi against Islam Makhachev. That's the sort of game plan we're going with. And for Michael Chandler, you've lost your privileges. That's all I'm going to say to Michael Chandler. Okay, I like the guy. I like seeing him fight. He puts on entertaining fights every single time. But no more freebies for Michael Chandler, if you know what I'm saying. Arman Tsarukyan if he beats Damir Ismagulov, or Damir Ismagulov if he beats Arman Tsarukyan. They are fighting in a couple of weeks' time, I believe, at UFC Orlando, or maybe even on the last card of the year, Cannonier versus Strickland, who knows. But they're fighting in December, or at least in a couple of weeks' time, and they're going to be on a similar schedule. And I reckon you do Michael Chandler versus the winner of that, which I believe is going to be Arman Tsarukyan, and you finally give Michael Chandler to one of these up-and-comers, because he's been getting these fights. Like, you give him Dan Hooker, he wins. Immediate title fight against Charles Oliveira, he loses. Okay, what did they do next? Justin Gaethje, he loses. Tony Ferguson, he wins. Dustin Poirier. He's gotten so many big-name fights, and he's lost 3 out of 5 of them. You know what I'm saying? So let's realize and give him like an up-and-comer, because some of these up-and-comers deserve a piece of that as well. They deserve that big fight feel in the fight night main event, in a massive fight on the main card of a pay-per-view at some time. So I reckon they'll do Michael Chandler versus Arman Tsarukyan at the start of May on a pay-per-view in May. I reckon is the time to do it. No rush. Arman Tsarukyan and Damir Ismagilov's happening soon. They're going to want at least like 5 months off, because it's a real tough fight for each of them. And I think Michael Chandler should take on the winner. I really do. I think it's time to start giving the big names at lightweight that are losing to some of the up-and-coming guys, and say to Michael Chandler, look, we've been nice to you. You know, like, we're going to stop throwing you a bone. You need to win this one. And if you win this one, then we can start talking about Justin Gaethje rematches, Charles Oliveira rematches. Then we can start talking fun fights again. But this is a fun one. If Arman Tsarukyan has a great performance against Damir Ismagulov, or the other way around and Damir wins, this is a great matchup that I'll look forward to. So save Chandler versus Tsarukyan on a main card of a pay-per-view in May, and Poirier versus Dariush on the main card of a pay-per-view in April or March. Easy. Dan Hooker got a big win against Claudio Puelles, took 0 damage, wants to turn around for UFC Australia in Perth in February. I know someone who's looking to make money, and his name is Renato Money Moicano. That's his name, okay? He won on the same card. He called out Dan Hooker, and he didn't call him out, but he mentioned him in an interview, and then the person who interviewed him mentioned that he said it in an interview to Dan Hooker, in a Dan Hooker interview, and said, Renato Moicano just beat Brad Riddell. He said he was interested in fighting you in Australia. How do you feel about that matchup? And Dan Hooker said, yeah, sure, you know, yeah, go, yeah, mad, yeah, and all that type of stuff. So he made a bunch of New Zealand noises, and it sounded like confirmation, as far as I'm aware. I'm not fluent in New Zealand gibberish, but yeah, bro, yeah, oh, yeah, bro, yeah, sure, bro, yeah. He sounded like it was positive noises that he was making. So Dan Hooker versus Renato Moicano. I know Renato Moicano is going to want to fight in Brazil, but I feel like he's He's in the English-speaking market now. You know what I'm saying? He's like a Paulo Costa. He don't need to be in Brazil. The Charles Oliveira's need to be in Brazil. The Davis and Figueiredos need to be in Brazil. The Alex Pereiras even need to be in Brazil, but he's a bit different because of how marketable he is. He can be in the English-speaking market as well, even without speaking English. But with these guys like Renato Moicano and Paulo Costa, they're one of us. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? They're in the English-speaking world of the MMA. So they can go, they don't have to be in their home country of Brazil. They can go to Australia and fight Dan Hooker. And even if he wins, he'll probably win over the crowd afterwards. So I'm down for Dan Hooker versus Renato Moicano in February. And the winner of that one can start getting big name fights in the division. And that'd be really good. Let's say Dan Hooker wins and Michael Chandler wins. We could see a Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker 2 fight night main event, and that would be great as well. But February, pay-per-view, prelim headliner, or somewhere on the main card, depending on how strong the pay-per-view is. Dan Hooker versus Renato Moicano sounds good to me. Moving on to another, and also Moicano will take it because it's a ranked opponent, and he's not going to be like, no, I want to fight in Brazil. He's going to jump at the opportunity for a ranked opponent. You heard how desperate he was to get ranked in his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan. Moving on, Chris Gutierrez got a big win against Frankie Edgar. No damage whatsoever, so he's ready to turn around. Someone who's waiting to fight real soon, and I think could maybe get a Chris Gutierrez fight in January in Brazil, is Pedro Munoz. I say we keep the Gutierrez train rolling. He took no damage. He's not getting any younger. He's already passed, I think he's 31 years of age. He's not a young guy where we can say, all right, 6 months to develop and then come back. You know what I mean? Like, we're not doing that. Chris Gutierrez, Pedro Munoz, both ready to go. Similar styles. Great style matchup. Going to be a great stand-up fight. Put them against each other. You know what I'm saying? Put them against each other in Brazil in January. Somewhere high up on the prelims. Sounds great to me. Make it happen. And I think that's a good reward for Chris Gutierrez. I don't think he's ready to go top 10. I feel like if he wants to get anyone else, he's going to have to wait a long time. But Munoz is ready to go right now. So let's do Gutierrez versus Munoz. Make it happen. Moving on. Ryan Spann got a big win over Dominic Reyes. And I do want to give him a top-tier fighter, but they've got Blachowicz versus Ankalaev winner gets a title shot coming up soon. Okay? And if Blachowicz loses, he may well retire, let's be real. He might just retire from the sport of MMA. We've also got Jamal Hill versus Anthony Smith, date to be determined. So we still don't know when that's going to be. So it's at least probably February, March. We're also probably going to get Alexander Rakic versus Nikita Krylov, is what I think they're going to go with, okay? Because Krylov's been putting in work. Now, Ryan Spann is going to have to take on a guy below him in the rankings. He missed weight. So you can't be like, oh, top 5 guy, here you go. He's going to have to take on a guy underneath him in the rankings. And I'm thinking to myself, who hasn't got a matchup that's coming off a win that would be an amazing style matchup against Ryan Spann in the co-main event of a fight night card? And I'm thinking of Khalil Roundtree. That's what I'm thinking. That's a great matchup. You know, as soon as I revealed that, that's a great fireworks matchup. Someone's going down in round 1. Someone's going down. There's going to be a KO, I think, 100% in this matchup. And I think that's what should take place. Ryan Spann, Khalil Roundtree, co-main event of a fight night card in the Apex in front of a crowd. Who knows? Depends what kind of card it is. Put him in a decent spotlight on a card and have him go at it. And then the winner of that one can start looking towards big fights in the light heavyweight division in the top 10. Ryan Spann, Khalil Roundtree, they're both ranked. I think Ryan Spann's probably going to get ranked number 10 after his win. And Khalil Roundtree, I believe, is ranked number 13. Make it happen. Both coming off wins. Ish. Roundtree robbed Jacoby, but whatever. Moving on. Also, Jacoby versus Carlos Ulberg. I couldn't fit him on the screen, but Carlos Ulberg, Dustin Jacoby. Sounds good to me. Moving on. Erin Blanchfield got a big win over Molly McCann, and she made a call out, so the job has been done. In all honesty, she took no damage, so let's keep her active and get her on a card. Like, give Christmas off, but get her on the card February, March next year. You want to keep activity so we can keep the promotability of Erin Blanchfield alive. People need to see her often so they can be reminded of the skills that she has. And let's not go too far up the rankings yet. Let's take it step by step and give her Andrea Lee, who, although has shown a problem with being out-grappled before, has also shown at times that she can tie people up in triangles off of her back. So she's not, like, shown no skills off of her back for a striker. And as a striker, she's tall, rangy, hard to get to the hips on. And Erin Blanchfield might struggle a bit there, who knows. But as a grappler, she has got some threats off of her back, at least in the first round. But I guess we'll have to see if Erin Blanchfield can drown her as the fight goes on. So this is the fight I want to see. Erin Blanchfield, Andrea Lee would be nice on the eyes as well. And yeah, these are the fights. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Again, with the Zhang Esparza trilogy, it's not really what I want. I just know they're going to capitalize and just try and make the biggest fight they possibly can in the women's division. And that's what they've always done. And that's what they're going to do, because Rose, at the end of the day, was a defending champion and has 2 wins over Zhang. So it makes sense. Toodle pip. See you later. Goodbye.